Alright, so today we're going to look at Venn diagrams and also something called two-way tables. What these are types of sample spaces. So just like before when we've written a table or a list of numbers out, instead we're going to use a Venn diagram or a two-way table to show all our equally likely outcomes of an event happening, of an experiment happening. So if we do an example of a Venn diagram, we've done heaps of these, but we haven't done any sort of worded questions. So we need to know about where everything goes in a Venn diagram. So we've already talked about this a little bit, but if we look at a Venn diagram, in 2CD we always have two circles only. You've got two circles, two sort of bubbles, your total in the side, okay? And each of the circles has your event labelled, okay? So in the corner is your total number. In the bubble is the total for A, or whatever that one's labelled. In the other bubble is the total for B. And then in the middle, as we've said, it's like the intersection, so it's A and B. Just A, just B, and then outside is neither. Okay, we need to be able to fill in the four main things. So A only, A and B, B only, and neither for any question to be able to answer it in terms of its probability. So if we look at a couple of questions, so for example, if we say 80 people were surveyed, as to whether they played Call of Duty or FIFA. Okay, we then get given some more information. So far in our Venn diagram, we can put 80 in our total there. Alright, then you get given some other information for Call of Duty, FIFA. So you might say something along the lines of 60 people played Call of Duty and 63 people played FIFA. And then it will probably give you one other bit of information, such as 12 people played neither. So from this information we need to put it into our Venn diagram. So the 60 people played Call of Duty goes in the bubble. It doesn't go in the Call of Duty only. We don't know if they just played Call of Duty or if they did both. Then we need to say 63 people played FIFA, so that goes in there. And 12 people played neither, goes out there. Now, you'll notice that the numbers don't add up. Okay, it says 80 and we've got a whole heap of different numbers there. So we need to add them together. I've actually made these a bit too big, but anyway. So if we add all these together, we end up with 135. And so that pretty much means that a whole heap of people voted twice, which means that they actually both played both things. So to work out the difference, when we add all those numbers together, we then need to take away the 80 and find the difference. And so we'll find out that there's 55 people who did both things. And that method there is really important for you guys in an exam. So go, okay, 55 people played both. So then 5 people played Call of Duty and 8 people played FIFA. And in total, we should then be able to add up these numbers here, 5, 55, 8 and 12, and they should all add up to 80. So you should be able to double check that. So from here, we can then answer lots of questions like we've done earlier. So what's the probability that they played Call of Duty? We then work out the bubble for Call of Duty. So it's not 5, it's 60. So 60 out of 80. What's the probability? Call of Duty or FIFA or both. So we add those numbers together and we get 68 over 80. Okay? So we might also say something like not Call of Duty. And so that means those 20 people. The denominator is always going to be how many people there are there. Okay, these questions are all just worth 1 mark in an exam. You need to know those set notation, but you also need to think about what the questions are actually asking, and that will make it easier for you. So if I said probability of the complement of C intercept with F, that's saying I don't play, what was the probability that I pick someone who doesn't play Call of Duty and does play FIFA? Doesn't play Call of Duty means we take out those first 60. Does play FIFA means that there's 8 out of 80. Alright, so we'll try another one of these. Let's go with 100. 100 people were surveyed. As to whether they surfed or skated. Okay, so we would then say that there might be different bits of information here. So it might say 30 people skated only. Then it might say 50 people surfed. And 18 people did both. So from there, we once again made this a bit hard because they both start with S, but anyway. So we'll go SK, SU, 100. Okay, so this time we've got 30 people skated only, so that must go in here. Only means they only do one thing. 50 people surfed, so that goes in the bubble. 18 people did both, goes in here. So therefore in this bubble we've got 48. Over here we've got 32, because that adds up to 50. And then we still need to add up to 100. So far we've got 50, 80, so 20 must be on the outside. So you should be able to answer these questions by looking at that. Alright. I'm hoping you guys are all okay with that, so you're then going to practice those. The next thing we're going to look at is called a two-way table. And we're going to use that same example we just did then, rather than have to write out another question. So, if we look at that question, a two-way table just shows the two things we're looking at. So, for this one, it would be surf, not surf. Now, you could also write this as SU, SU complement, okay? So be aware of that because often in exams they use that. And then there's always a total. And so then we've got skate, not skate, and a total over here as well. So the aim of a two-way table, this is really easy marks, usually worth about 3 marks. The aim of a two-way table is to fill in all 9 sections from the question. So 100 people were surveyed, that goes in the total. 30 people skated only means the total for skating and not surfing is there because they skated only. 50 people surfed is for the whole group of surfing people. So we don't know if they skated or not. So that goes in here as 50. 18 people did both goes in the surf and the skate row. The surf column and the skate row. So we end up with that. We then look for anywhere where we've got 2 out of 3 rows in the row or column. So 18 plus 30, the total of that is 48. 48 plus something has to equal 100, so it must be 52. 50 plus something equals 100, so it's got to be 50. 30 plus something equals 50, so it's 20. 18 plus something equals 50 equals 32. And just check each way to make sure it works. Now you'll notice these are really clearly linked. This here is always going to be the intersection. This one here is always going to be the outside because there's not a not. And then depending on the sides which you drew, these other ones are going to be here as well. Now the totals are all going to be around the outside or in the bubbles. So a two-way table actually shows you a bit of extra information than what you need. Alright, so from here we can then answer the same sort of questions. So what's the probability? Actually, we'll start with a number. What's the number of people who surfed? Okay, remember that if it has an N, we're not looking for probabilities, we're just looking for a number. So the number of people who surfed in total was 50. Then if we looked at the probability that they didn't surf, it would be, so not surfing total would be 50 over 100. If we said the probability of not skating, not skating and surfing. Not skating means it's in this bottom row where the yellow and the purple are, so not skating, but they did surf means that we got 32 over 100. So all of these are pretty easy to be able to answer as long as you get the two-way table right. We're just going to do one more example of this because this comes up in your WACE exams all the time. So it's just, actually I won't draw it. Still the same sort of two-way table, but it might say something like 80 people were surveyed. 25% were women. And then it might say 10% of them liked coffee. So at this point in a two-way table, we're still going to get given some more information. We need to work out where everything goes. So the two things we've got are coffee and not coffee, and women and not women, which are men. Okay? Make sure you don't try and put men and women twice or anything like that. Sorry about the screen. Alright, so far we've got 80 people were surveyed. 25% of them, so you need to know these sort of easy percentages. A quarter of them were women. So 80, that means 20. Okay? 10% of them liked coffee, so we now got a 2 here. Okay? So from here we can now do some of the table, but you still do need one other more bit of information to be able to answer the whole thing. So you might then get some information which says something like 40 men liked coffee. So it won't always be in percentages, but there'll be a couple. So if I said 40 men like coffee, that means we're now down here at 40. And so we can fill in some sections from here. So I'll just do it in different colours. So we've got 42, 38, 60, 20, and 18. So you'll always be given enough information to answer each one, but you might need to know some simple percentages as you go. Alright, that's it. Two-way tables and Venn diagrams you need to be able to do. So your homework is in your 2C book. Pages 46, which you've done some of already, 46 to 50 questions. I think we've already done one of these, but anyway, 19 to 26. If you finish early, you should be working on your exams. So your notes, 2 pages back and front. You can be doing some practice exams, all those sort of things. Good luck.